there's good Canada and there's bad Canada, and just like there's the good part of the U.S. and the bad part of the U.S.
Boost, Booze, and Barbecue.
Hello and welcome to Boost, Booze, and Barbecue. This is Andy. I am excited to do today's episode because I've got a guest on the phone, Sterling Wright. He is the owner of Style Motors LLC here in Portland, Oregon, and one heck of a good dude. I really like his story. I really like what he has going on for a business. So please give a round of applause wherever you are for Sterling. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Doing very well. Thanks so much for calling in and doing this. Style Motors. How long have you been doing that?
So I got my dealer's license. I was actually just looking at that today, back in March of 2016. So not even 3 years yet I've been around.
That's crazy. And already you're facing a large inventory. I was just on your website a little bit ago. I was going through the 8 pages of vehicles that you have for sale. Everything from Slam WRX, of course, your bread and butter, the diesel trucks, which we always like to see. I saw a 2001 F-250 manual trans on your website, and I'm sitting here thinking, how do I get my hands on that?
Yeah, any of the manual transmission diesel trucks are highly sought after now, which is funny because Kelly Blue Book on them is actually like way crappier than an automatics, but in the actual market, it's like the holy grails when people come across those older non-emissions manual trucks that people just go crazy for them. I mean, I've shipped them literally all over the United States, including Hawaii and Alaska. I actually just sold a truck last week to a couple that flew up from Hawaii to look at a truck, make sure they liked it, and then drove it up to Tacoma to ship it back.
Wow. I didn't think that happened all that often, but you got one. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's been happening a lot more now. There's a website, Car Gurus, that I pay to advertise on, and that's just been phenomenal for reaching people outside of the Northwest. Craigslist is great for people around here, same with Facebook, but to really get out there nationally, that website has just been phenomenal. And I think I've sold all the way as far as Illinois now, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's crazy that these trucks are just kind of ending up all over the place. That
is pretty wild. That's kind of how you got your start, though, isn't it? You kind of started with the lifted trucks, yes?
Yeah, it's always been my passion. I mean, I helped start, I think it's now the largest diesel group on Facebook on the West Coast. We had our first diesel meet like years ago, and I met this kid from Tillamook, Kyle, who's my business partner. And he was this hungry kid that wanted to make money. And, I think we had after the meet, we went to everyone went to a pizza place, and Kyle and I just talked for a while and hit it off. And Kyle's, I think, 4 or 5 years younger than me. And again, we started the business a few years ago. He's just always been very goal driven. So it's been great. Business wouldn't succeed without him and vice versa. And it's kind of actually where the name Style Motors came from. Was I'm not super creative when it comes to that stuff, and my dad is. And I was asking, what do you think is a good business name? And he came up with Style. So it's ST for Sterling, YLE for Kyle, which is pretty cool that there's actually something more behind it than just, like a random name, somebody picked out.
Yeah, I love that. I really love that. I hadn't realized that you guys did that until now. That's a really fun little tidbit. I kind of love that. I'm surprised you guys didn't do a juxtaposition of the colors or something,
Yeah, well, and it works too because we want to do more business ventures together. I mean, it's been a very fruitful partnership, obviously, and so the next thing that we're looking at doing is maybe a self storage. Great part is we want to keep the style name, so we call it Style Storage. And I love cheesy stuff, so the great slogan: "Leave your stuff in style." It's awesome. It's silly, but people remember that type of stupid mumbo jumbo jingle stuff, so it's really cool that something as trivial as that hopefully will blossom into more business ventures using that name and still having cheesy puns to kind of roll with it. We have license plate frames and inserts, from the dealership. And, I didn't want to put my phone number on there or website because it's what everybody does. And I mean, for our part of the industry, it's all about being a little different. So it just has our business name up top, but at the bottom it says Ride and Style. And cheesy, silly, but it works and people dig it. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
I love that. That's a lot of fun. Okay, speaking of fun, you have got quite the inventory on the lot right now. I probably shouldn't ask you what your favorite is because it's probably like asking what your favorite child is. But I'll tell you what, buddy, you have got this black 2018. I mean, it looks brand new F350 Super Duty.
The Platinum Dually, yeah.
That thing.
That thing was basically brand new. We bought it with 4,000 miles and it was all stock. And we built two vehicles for SEMA this year, and we wanted something to basically just tow down there that was rad. So this Platinum popped up on the auction block, and we bought it, and then did 22-inch wheels, some oversized Nitto Trail Grappler tires, Bilstein shocks, and then some upgraded control arms for it. Just nothing really too crazy, but it's pretty cool. You know, we were talking about wanting to do spiked lug nuts because they look pretty badass on dually trucks. And lo and behold, when we bought the wheels, they actually came with metal spiked lug nuts, which typically they're like anywhere from $200 to $500, you know, even on Amazon. So it was really cool that, again, it just kind of came out. But yeah, that truck is incredible, man. I mean, it's got massaging front seats, which I never thought we would have seen the day that these diesel trucks are now like European cars with pickup beds and four-wheel drive. I mean, they're just unbelievable, you know, dual panoramic sunroofs. They've got the sonar in the front for adaptive cruise control. If you really go crazy, you know, high-end models in Ford, they have 360 camera packages like you'd find in a very high-end Mercedes, Bentley, stuff like that.
Jeez.
And, yeah, it's wild, the technology these things are coming with. But I mean, you know, like $70, $80, $90, $100,000, I would expect these trucks to have the days at this point, you know, and it's a lot of money that people are spending on these rigs.
Mm-hmm. It's very true. And I'll tell you what, one of the things that I really like about what you're doing is that a person can just show up to your place. And if you want a diesel truck that's in really good shape, I mean, they can bring, you know, 20, 25,000 and drive away with something that's in really good condition. You guys cater to that lower, I shouldn't call it lower, but the entry level of the big diesel trucks. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, my big, you know, obviously the business has started because Kyle and I are very passionate about diesel trucks, but I like selling to everybody. You know, it's the expensive lifted stuff is really cool, but you know, not your average Joe can go out and be like, hey, you know what, Sterling, I want to spend $65,000 on this 2017 Super Duty. You know, most guys come and say, hey, my budget's up to $40,000. What do you have? And that's really kind of our pricing point for stuff. You know, I like to be able to sell to people that are, you know, first time buyers. You know, they've had their job for a year and saved a little bit of money and they want to buy their first diesel truck. And then, you know, again, I've sold to 80-year-old guys that it's going to be their final truck.
Ooh, that's got to be satisfying.
Really fun part of the business as well is you just get to meet so many different people in so many different walks of life, you know, and that's a big part for having such a wide price range, you know, in inventory.
How does that make you feel knowing that you have someone coming in that's probably buying their last vehicle from you? I mean, that's got to be, you're sharing something very, I probably shouldn't call it intimate, but that's for a car guy, especially.
Probably I think that's the right verbiage. I mean, it feels awesome, you know. Car dealers as a whole have gotten a very shitty rep because most of them just want to screw people over, make as much money, move on to the next sale. You know, and that's okay because I like offering a very different experience. You know, my big thing is you come in, look at a truck. I don't bug people. You know, most dealer guys that come in, you know, truck guys, they kind of know what they want. So you just give them keys, take a picture of the driver's license, and they can go out and take it out, and they come back. And I mean, 99% of the time they buy it. And, you know, if not, there's somebody else for it. You know, but those examples where someone's coming like, hey, it's going to be my final truck, like it's almost like an honor that they've chosen my business over many other dealerships that are out there. You know, we've worked really hard to build a solid reputation. And I mean, the big thing is if you go on Google and you search the business, I mean, we've got insanely good reviews on, I think, every single platform. You know, and it just, I don't know, I think it's kind of an old adage where you take pride in your work, right? You give 100%, you get 100%. Mm-hmm. You know, and as I think has been a huge thing that's been our success in having these people that come and want to purchase these trucks. You know, we get almost all of our inventory, you know, apart from maybe some of the high mile stuff, I'll drive them around, but almost everything gets inspected from Pure Addiction Diesel out in Hillsboro. We use them for just about everything, you know, so that's another big thing too, is a lot of guys will just buy these trucks off the auction or, you know, wherever they get them, sit shine them and throw them up for sale. And it's like, if somebody's coming to you, they're entrusting their safety in you. They're saying, hey, you know what? I know you're going to sell me something that's, you know, not going to just rattle apart. You know, so I think that's a really, really important thing.
And that is a problem nowadays, because I've noticed there have been a lot of diesel trucks coming down from Canada, for example, and a lot of rot. And the thing that dealerships seem to be doing right now is spraying bed liner over the frame underneath, and it's to cover that salt rot. And I hate seeing that. I really hate seeing that, but it seems prevalent. I was looking at some trucks with a friend of mine, and we literally saw 3 trucks in a row that were all that way. We got underneath of them. We saw the bed liner. I started poking around with my pocket knife, and sure enough, you find a soft spot and you poke right through and you kind of peel it away, and it's just pure rust. And I hate that people are doing that. And so we're in this weird period where it's like, if you're going to buy a diesel truck right now, you need to be aware of that stuff. If it seems like a really good deal, it's probably too good to be true.
Yeah. And I mean, even, you know, with the Canadian stuff, even I'd say half of my truck trade-ins from customers are Canadian trucks. You know, the big thing is, you know, there's good Canada and there's bad Canada, and just like there's the good part of the U.S. and the bad part of the U.S. You know, it's really knowing what to look for, crawling around under the truck, looking inside the frame rail, stuff like that. Because, you know, I've been duped before. I bought a truck. I've bought a lot of trucks. Man, these things look awesome. You know, take it to the shop. They put on nothing. But man, like, your brake lines are one with your frame. It's like, okay, well, I'm just going to resell that back at auction, because that's not something I can put my name on.
Right.
But it's tough. You really have to comb through the trucks with a fine tooth and comb to find the right stuff. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of trucks that'll run through all the auctions, you know, weekly. A big thing for us now is we've been working with a lot more new car stores, getting their trades and stuff, because a lot of the, you know, the Hondas and stuff, Toyota, they don't deal with diesel trucks. So when they get them traded in, they don't know what to do, and they know that they can contact us and we'll pay a top dollar for it, because we want those types of trucks.
Now, would you consider yourself a boutique dealer in that what you deal in is typically not going to be something that's just totally bone stock? Like, you seem like, for the most part, what you sell has a little bit of extras on it.
It's tough, because personally I love the overly top modified stuff. So it's, you know, of course I definitely buy a lot of it, but I'll buy stock stuff too. I mean, it's again, I you know, when we buy a truck in mine and we lift it, or we start modifying it performance wise, or we do things, you know, we really have a target demographic in mind, you know, and not everybody's going to want even just a level kit where you just put the front on to match the height of the back of the truck and put 35s on there. You know, that's really changing the market, you know, so we'll do everything. Obviously, you know, the biggest thing is cost versus return. Is how much do we buy the truck for? How much are we in it after reconditioning? You know, if we put wheels and tires on or lift it, is it worth it, you know, to ask them more money for it? Because a lot of guys don't realize how expensive this stuff can get. I mean, you know, just doing a basic, looks like a 4-inch lift, and some 20-inch wheels and some like a quality 35-inch tire. I mean, you can get up to the $4,000 to $5,000 mark real quick, and that's just staying pretty basic.
Well, and then, you know, if you've got any components that are blue, now you're getting sued.
You are exactly right. So there's liability stuff involved too. I mean, it's just, you know, you've really got to know what you're doing and trust the shops that you work with. But at the same time, you know, it's, at the end of the day, it's a business. I want to, like, a business to make money, you know, as it comes down to.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And speaking of money, how did SEMA treat you guys? Did that go pretty well? I mean, you took that gorgeous F-350 down there. Did you take anything else with you?
Yeah, so I ended up staying back business because I didn't want to be gone for 10 days and have the business closed. But Kyle went down there, and we had a 2018 Jeep Wrangler JL that was in the gear booth. and then we had a 2017 Ford, which was in I think it was American Alloys or American something, I can't remember the name of it, outside. And it was really cool seeing all the pro pictures, and I think the Jeep made it into Gear's official video for their SEMA shoot, which was pretty rad. This was the first time we've been at SEMA and had vehicles built for. Typically we just go and hang out and look at all the new industry stuff and meet the famous people and stuff. But it was definitely different being on the other spectrum. They talk about that SEMA crunch where things come down to the wire, and you think, well, SEMA is everyone knows what it is. You've got a year to build, and it's like, man, you've got to wait for the parts from the sponsors and everything like that. And I mean, it gets very hectic because some of these guys, you don't get your parts till the very last minute, or orders get messed up, or, you're running one-off things, so things don't work right. You've got to refab stuff. I mean, it's pretty crazy. Definitely, was an interesting experience. I think we'll probably end up building some more stuff in the future, but I don't think it'll be trucks. I think we might do some cars. Oh,
interesting. Have you seen any return on your investment into SEMA yet, or it might be a little too soon for it because SEMA was just like a month ago?
Not really. I didn't see any investment, and I mean, we had our logo on some stuff and what have you. But unless you're a huge brand, there's no real exposure. I mean, they talk about exposure and how it's good for the business. It's all just a tax write-off. What it comes down to be able to go vacation for 7 days. It's kind of how I look at it. I haven't got any phone calls from guys like, hey, so I get SEMA, but I mean, everybody local knows that we were there, so they talk about it and what have you. But
yeah, heck yeah.
I think it's just more kind of like a bragging right, if you will, that like, hey, I had a truck, I had a couple vehicles in SEMA,
Well, you may not have anybody call you up and say, I heard you on Boost, Booze, and Barbecue, but at least it's free, right?
And then any publicity is good publicity in my eyes.
That's right.
It's the first podcast I've ever done, so it's kind of exciting.
Hey, I'm popping your podcast cherry. That's awesome.
You're popping the cherry, absolutely.
All right. Hey, getting back to the trucks. Here's what I'm curious about. What is the type of truck that you like? I'm a little curious. I'm not going to make you, go through, hey, what would you recommend for the first person trying to go out and get a diesel truck? Because obviously the answer is to just come to Style Motors and get a truck from you. But if you were going to be buying a truck right now, and let's keep it in the used realm. You don't have to go new. But if you were to go out and buy a truck right now, is there any particular brand or engine combination that you have your eye on?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the pricing point. I actually just am in the process of purchasing a 2015 Ford Super Duty Platinum for myself. My old truck was a 2012. I think, it's what I'm buying. Yeah, I'm just sold on the 2011 to 2016 Fords. The 17 and up are still pretty damn expensive, but I think best bang for the buck in my personal preference is those trucks. The motors are just insanely reliable. The transmissions can hold a lot of power, big navigation screen, stuff like that. I'm a huge, and I've had, like I said, I've owned all the brands. I've driven about every combination of diesel truck manufacturer since 1989, 1990, depending on which manufacturer you're talking about. And I'm still sold on the 2011 and 2016 Fords. They're still my favorites.
And so you're talking about the 6.7 liter?
6.7.
Because I've heard people say the 6 liter, without doing some things to it, not the greatest, and the 6.4 is kind of in the same realm. Now, I try to take that with a grain of salt. Yeah. Because, as you know, a lot of times these people going, oh yeah, it was horribly unreliable. They're the same people that'll go 12,000 miles between oil changes and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And so I try to take that stuff with a little bit of a grain of salt. Is there a lot of credence being lent to that?
You hit it on the head. It's all about maintenance. I've had 6 liters that have 230,000 miles that are 100% stock that were well taken care of, that had no issues. And I've had 6.0s that had 70,000 miles that the head gaskets were bad, which is a common issue. It's just all about maintenance. And granted, there's stuff that kind of happens catastrophically, but every you hear all these yahoos that talk about, I read on the internet this or that, and all of a sudden they're experts on it, and this truck's crap or that truck's crap, but they've never even owned anything before, So there's definitely some truth to the 6 liter and 6.4. The emission system, the EGR, is kind of notorious for causing a lot of a lot of overheating issues, but I really think just based off of who's owned it, their driving habits, things like that really determine longevity. Like I said, if you're not generally over 12,000 miles, that's probably not going to last very long, especially with them being turbocharged or the 6.4 being a compounded turbo setup.
You mentioned the magic word turbocharged, and so I'm a little curious what your thoughts are about the EcoBoost trucks. Now, I have an EcoBoost, and so you don't need to pander to me. I want your honest, earnest opinion, but those F-150s, man, with either of the EcoBoost motors seem like they're doing pretty well. I really haven't heard too many bad things about the 2.7, and of course the 3.5 at this point seems like it's really rocking. How have you been noticing that in the truck realm? I mean, are there any guys, dare I even say, coming in wanting to trade their diesels off for an EcoBoost?
I haven't had that happen yet, but the EcoBoost definitely seem they're a little bit more sought after than like the 5.0 on the Fords. 3.5s, when you soup them up a little bit, they put down some big power, and there's a reason why they're in the Raptors. I mean, Jesus, even the new Ford GT has, a V6 EcoBoost motor in it. I think Ford definitely got the combination right. And you hear some things like the older, the first generation, old, when it first came out, some of the turbos started having issues at 100,000 miles, and I can attest, I think there was one EcoBoost so far I had to do a set of turbos on, which was very expensive. But other than that, I haven't really ran into any issues, nothing consistent. I mean, they seem like they're pretty well built. And like I said, once you do, intake, downpipes, exhaust, and a chip, they sound amazing, and they rip.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious what kind of exhausts you're using, because mine sounds like a vacuum cleaner, but I'll get with you a little bit later on. We can talk about that. It's interesting to hear you say that, though, because I've been curious, that EcoBoost, as long as you have the tow package and everything, I mean, those things will tow 13,000 some odd pounds. And I mean, you're getting a little bit closer to the diesel territory. You're not there, but you're definitely inching closer. You guys do diesels. I'm going to assume you haven't really dipped too much into the small diesels yet, like the Colorado. Am I correct in assuming that?
Not yet. I definitely want to get, once we start seeing a used market for like the Power Strokes and the F-150s, I really want to get my hands on one of those, see how it is. Mm-hmm. I don't really see a lot of demand yet for the Colorados. They're sweet trucks, but I just don't have people coming to go, hey man, I'm looking for like a Duramax Colorado. So, it's not really been something I've been too keen on pandering into, but I mean, F-150 is obviously like the best selling truck for a reason. So I definitely want to try and get, I think the Power Stroke is I think it's like a 3-liter small. So far the reviews seem pretty good. So I'm definitely excited once I can start seeing some used ones popping up on the auction block, maybe picking one up and seeing what the used retail market is like for it. Plus, again, maybe looking down the road, modifying one and building it to, what we like and seeing what it does.
What are your predictions with the smaller diesels? Do you think they're really going to fill a gap there? I
think so. I mean, you look at the prices of where diesel trucks or, 3/4 ton and 1 ton trucks are heading. Mm-hmm. It's really expensive, and especially, like let's take, for instance, the Colorado, right? Colorado is something that somebody that lives in, let's say, I don't know if I'd say Portland, but I would say Portland would have much more use owning than, say, a Silverado 2500, just based off of size alone. I mean, you could park the Colorado anywhere, even downtown, whereas the 3/4 ton, you've got to be pretty good at parallel parking, but B, there's definitely not as friendly for certain parts of the metropolitan area. So,
No, it's very true.
We'll see. Yeah, I think we'll see it continue to grow. I mean, Ford even is reintroducing the Ranger, and I know everywhere else in the United States, because United States, there's a Raptor version of the Ranger, and it has a twin turbo 4-cylinder diesel. which I think is probably the coolest thing ever.
I'm very disappointed that we're not getting that engine here in America. I was very surprised when I heard that we weren't getting it. You know, I mentioned this on a couple episodes ago, but we were talking about how when the WRX first came to America, they were just like, man, nobody's going to buy this. The Americans don't want this. And of course they sold like crazy. And I think the same thing is going to happen with these small diesel engines. Like I really think Ford is missing the mark by bringing the Ranger over, but not bringing that really awesome 4-cylinder diesel motor. You know, they didn't bring over the 4-liter straight six, the Barra, I think is what they call it, the Australian Ford engine. It's a 4-liter straight six. Those things could have given 2 JZs a run for their money. They're incredible motors, but they didn't bring them. They didn't bring them. And I think they're really missing the mark by not doing that. The F-150 though, if it does get that small diesel, whatever Ford ends up doing, like you said, a 3-liter is what it sounds like it's going to be. That hopefully will bridge some kind of a gap there. I just wonder where it's going to leave the EcoBoost motors at that point, because surely that small diesel V6 or whatever it is, it's got to get better fuel economy than the EcoBoost even. And the EcoBoost isn't bad, but I mean, I'm just looking at the Ram 1500s with that horrible diesel engine that's built by Renault, I think. They just cannot keep the liquids inside.
The Eco Diesel, yeah.
Yeah, they want to leak everywhere they go. If Ford can keep from doing that, I think they would have the leg up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't believe like I said, the Ram 1500 doesn't have the Cummins in it. You know, it's got its own specific engine, whereas the F-150 still has a Power Stroke. So I think, you know, there's growing pains in any first gen of R&D, especially with a brand new platform like that. But I don't know. It's curious because you look at Europe and just diesels in general. I mean, diesels run Europe. Obviously, the fuel prices are much different, but again, they've got BMW, Mercedes. They've got all their tiny diesel engines, and in the U.S., I think we only starting to experience it the last decade or so, and it still hasn't taken off like it has in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So the pickup industry is a little different. The buyers and your owners are a much different type of breed. So I'm assuming there'll probably be a good market for half-ton diesel trucks, but time will tell.
Well, listen, man, we've been talking a lot about diesel trucks because obviously you guys do a lot of diesel trucks, but I do want to shift gears a little bit because you are a car guy. That's actually how I knew you. We used to talk Mazdas a little bit right around the same time you were getting style motors going. You were trying to get rid of an RX-7. You and I had a little conversation about it. I always think about that Sterling whenever I think about you, but you're definitely not just a truck guy. You're also a car guy. What are you driving these days?
So I still got my Nissan 240SX. I mean, that thing hasn't been driven in years. I had PSI tune it, do a bunch of work about a year ago. Still trying to find the motivation to just finish the car. I just bought a Spirit REI, or I don't even know how to pronounce it, some Japanese body kit that took like 8 months to get. That was frustrating.
Typical 240 stuff.
Yeah, there was somebody with like a Typhoon or something shut down the port for a few months. I don't know. I mean, the car's not been a huge priority, so it's not the end of the world, but that's trying to get the motivation to finish that. I've got, Superior Off-Road in Gresham. Just finished my 93 Toyota Wheeler last week, so that'll be kind of fun to go take in the snow. You know, I've got the 2015 Ford that I'm in the process of wrapping up my purchasing, and then I've got the 07 Lamborghini, and I've got a couple Honda Groms that are all modified too.
Man, very eclectic collection.
Yeah, kind of all over the place.
You are all over the place. You've got a 240 that you just can't bring yourself to get rid of. Oh, and then, the Lamborghini as well.
Yeah, I'll end up keeping both of those forever. I mean, the Lamborghini is a 6-speed manual, which is pretty damn rare, in the Gallardo world. Mm-hmm. And that was my dream car since, I was 13. I told everyone ever since I saw it, man, I'm going to Lamborghini someday. And then when I dropped out of high school, everyone's like, man, you're not going to amount to nothing. And then I bought my first, Lamborghini when I turned 29, and I actually just made a down payment on a brand new McLaren that's actually being built in England right now.
Woo! Living the dream, my friend. Wow.
Living the American dream of debt. And the McLaren thing, we don't even know how that's going to play out. So I ordered a 2019 600 LT. It's a 1-year limited run car, and there were 3 spots available in McLaren Bellevue to order the car. And I wasn't really planning on like trying to buy a brand new supercar, which, mind you, if I get it, it's the first brand new vehicle I've ever purchased. So I really wanted the car. The exhaust comes out of the top, shoots 5 from the factory. They weigh like 2,700 pounds, I believe. They're just incredible machines. And I've never driven a McLaren before. The Lamborghinis, driven Lamborghini, the 911 Turbo SF, an old F430, nothing too crazy in the spectrum of supercars. And, I put the 10% down. They're building the car right now for me. We spec'd it out. Let me tell you, McLaren options get very expensive very quickly. But the kicker is, I don't know if I'll get approved from the bank, which sounds weird to say. So I'm trying to finance the car for as much as I paid for my house. It's a very weird process, and they can't approve me for financing until the car is there because there's no VIN number. So I'm in this giant limbo of waiting for them to build the car, get it to McLaren Bellevue, and then apply for financing and see what happens.
Ooh, that is kind of a hairy situation.
It is. The good news is I get my money back if I don't get approved, but I want my money back. I want this car. So we'll see. We'll see how everything plays out. I don't know. We're putting a very large chunk of money down and hopes that it'll work. And, I don't know. My fingers are crossed. This is going to be, if I get it, this thing is just going to be ridiculous. They let me drive. I drove a 570S while I was up there. And that's kind of their entry level car. And I was blown away by that thing. My God, the shifting, the turning, it felt like you were driving a go-kart. It was so light and so crisp, whereas the Lamborghini, it's a 07, so it's clunky, and it's what the Lamborghini is what a supercar should be. It's old, it's clunky, perfect. This McLaren is like some sort of a high-tech witchcraft tomfoolery. It's just unbelievable how it feels, and the acceleration is just, for a 3.8 liter V8 twin turbo, they're unbelievable.
It is going to be important to have both of those though, because when you have the McLaren and it's got all of the high tech and it's got the shift for you, it's got the power going to all the different wheels at different times, and it's all being controlled by a computer, that's going to be a lot of fun. And then at some point you're going to go, man, I just really need to feel a lot more connected to the machine. And you're going to go and jump in that Lamborghini and you're going to feel the notches in the transmission, and you're going to feel that throttle by cable connection with your foot and just all of that stuff. So it's all about that balance, right? And that's what you're doing. You're playing that balancing act between the two. Yeah.
Well, and I've had the Lamborghini since August of 2017, and I've put 11,000 miles on it already. I'm one of those guys, you spend that type of money, I'm going to drive it. The nice thing about the McLaren is it's a 3-year unlimited mile warranty. And if I do a pre-inspection before I take it to the track, so basically if I drive up to Bellevue, have them look the car over before I track it, and anything breaks on the track, they warranty it.
Wow.
So that's really, to me, that's industry changing, that these guys are willing to stand so behind their car and say, hey man, if you go on the track and you push this car, and something breaks, obviously I'm not talking about going like a Jersey barrier, but, actually going out and something happens, that they'll stand behind their cars is pretty awesome, but again, it's all speculation. I may not get the car. I may be heartbroken. We'll see what happens, but, I'm really hoping for the latter part where everything works out and I get the car and I've got, 2 super-ish type cars on top of everything else I have.
Oh, that would be so much fun to take to the track. Do you get out to the track very often these days?
No. Dude, I work so much. I go, the Lamborghini definitely gets put through its paces. It's on 19-inch 2-piece ADV1 wheels, and I had Toyota R888Rs on it, and I burned through those things. They were literally heat cycled. I felt like I was on a street bike. It was so sick. And then I switched to the Nitto NT, 55Rs or something. I can't remember what they're called. They're NT somethings. I just wanted to try something, I wanted to, try something a little different, little cheaper. I think the Nittos were, $300 cheaper. And I just go out to the back roads and just rally, push the car. And the crazy thing with the Lamborghini is, it's all-wheel drive. You can push that car, and I haven't found the point where it says it's too far. I've pushed it, and it feels like the car still wants to go faster. It's crazy. It literally feels like, I used to ride sport bikes. And that's about the most thing I can compare it to, because you can just rev the hell out of it and go, and it just grips and it grips and it grips.
You know what always kind of shocks me about those Lamborghinis is when I was a kid, I would look at the posters of Lamborghinis, you know, the Diablos, right?
Oh, yeah.
From the mid 80s. And they just looked like this huge, hulking mass of a car. And it's got 12 cylinders. And I'm just thinking as a kid, like that thing must just be a total beast. But then, and I don't know, you're probably used to it owning one, but every time I stand next to a Gallardo or a Murcielago, it's just like, this thing is tiny. I mean, it's longer than my Ford Festiva was, but it's a lot shorter. It's so small. And I still have that thought from when I was a kid about this thing is going to be this massive V10 or V12 Lamborghini, but they're not. They're itty bitty.
Yeah, the only one that I've been in that's been, or at least seen, the event doors are, I don't know what the hell, they remind me of Hummers. They're just so wide. My buddy has, car acquaintance, I don't know, he's out in Portland, he's got an Aventador SV that's lowered with titanium exhaust, and we were cruising around, and being behind him, I was like, man, that is such a wide car. You know, I remember, it was like one of the Dark Knight movies, you know, Bruce Wayne had one. And it always reminded me of the Batmobile.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw my buddies in person, it was the first event door I've actually seen, you know, up close, what they look like a modern day Batmobile with all the wings and the diffusers. I mean, just the cars are wild. But, you know, for $500,000 and up, it ain't no pocket change.
No, hey, that thing better have active aero. I'm not paying $500,000 for nothing.
Yeah.
I'm with it, man. I love it. Do you have any idea where Style Motors is going for 2019? I mean, obviously onward and upward, but is there anything that people can kind of look forward to that's coming up maybe in the next year?
Looking at new locations, just trying to get a room where we're at, you know, our current spot. So I'm actively looking at new locations, but I mean, just big thing for me is just consistency, you know, continuing to sell a product that I'm proud to have my name on and staying consistent. I mean, it's just kind of the biggest thing. I don't have any crazy plans yet, you know, and I'm one of those guys I just kind of go with the flow, you know. I never thought the business would be this big, this fast, but here we are. You know, it's just kind of funny how, like you're talking about how things will work out. So no real plans, just kind of see what happens, keep selling cool trucks, and just go with the flow.
I love it, man. Hustle and grind. Keep it going.
Absolutely.
Well, hey, you're doing a great job. So happy to see it. Known you for a little while, and I'm really glad to see you doing good and big things. Style Motors LLC. You can find them on the web at stylemotorsllc.com. Of course, facebook.com/Style Motors LLC. I highly recommend that everybody go out and check that out. And of course, while you're checking that out, stop by boostboostbbq.com, where you're going to find lots of cool content, as well as some photos and some videos and links to where you can find Sterling and Style Motors LLC. Make sure that you're going and checking that out, and check out all of the other podcasts. They'll be right underneath of this one. So Sterling, thanks so much for talking to us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. This was pretty awesome. Definitely a good time.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, and we can't wait to have you on again, my friend.
Yeah, me neither, man.
And you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for telling a friend, and we will see you next time.
Boost, Booze, and Barbecue.